Hello everyone, GalacticStorm here. Welcome to the show, and today, yes I know, I promised a Japanese review, but first I promised an ELC AMX review before that, so I'm sorry. I will have a tank reviews on the Japanese eventually, just not right now. Uh, Today we're going to be reviewing the ELC AMX, probably one of the most famous tanks within the French line. This thing was made in 1956 for airborne transport, and it featured a low chalette and turret placement for both crew members, but this thing never saw production or service. So yeah, I had to get, well, this thing was really hard to learn because I was really not used to light tanks and that, and yeah, the gameplay I've got for you guys is awesome. AMX 40, this is when you had the low accuracy and the highly armored and underpowered guns, but screw that right now. 400 hit points, 250 horsepower, speed's pretty good, 65 kilometers per hour. Speed traverse is really awesome on this thing, 38. Screw the armor on this thing. I have the 90mm on this thing, it's 180 to 300. Penetration 128 to 213. Rate of fire is pretty slow, 5 rounds per minute. Turret traverse is pretty good, 44 degrees per second. And the view range and signal range are the same and are pretty bad. It's 360. So you can see by this the size on this thing. This thing's a ninja on the battlefield. And well, the guns on this that you get first, it's pretty bad at first when you get the 75mm. Even though it has a good rate of fire, it has really bad penetration on it. But it might be good against tier 5s, but not like the up above. This thing goes against tier 8s, by the way. This thing's pretty good against tier 8s and probably some tier 7s. With the 129 penetration in that. But here's the gun that I've been wanting to use, and pretty much everyone wanted to use. It has really high penetration, bad accuracy though, but it has really good damage. It can really bring a tier 5 up to its knees. And I've tried the AMX 12T, this is the tank you get. It's pretty good, but I'm still suffering from the same thing on the deaths. But let's go to the pros and cons on this thing first, shall we? This thing has incredible mobility. It has a low profile because of how small this tank is. It has very high APCR penetration when you have the 90mm gun, and it has excellent camo value. So, and the cons on this thing, besides the horrible armor on this thing, it has limited gun traverse and depression. It has poor signal view range. It has horrible accuracy, but it cannot rotate the turret fully, which is the biggest downfall on this tank. This tank can be really, really good, depending on what you use on it. I mean, this is more like a scout tank, but you can really do like sneak attacks, and then when people are distracted, this is when you really can shine with this tank. I like this tank despite how many deaths I've taken with this thing, so I've got some really good gameplay for you guys, and I hope you enjoy. And we're on Westfield. This map I used for the VK3601H for review, and this thing is perfect for the ELC AMX because of the hills in that, and there's some small hills that this ELC AMX can use. The ELC AMX, even though this thing is pretty small, this thing can pack a big punch with that 90mm gun, like I already said. But this thing, you have to think more outside the box rather than with the medium tanks or the heavy tanks. Light tanks are usually good for like scouting and probably for being a harassment. This tank, it fits it perfectly because of the low profile on this thing. Because look how small this thing is. It's like as small as the Renault UE57 that I previously reviewed. This thing, well, it may be small, but you could use like in small hills, you can go up on rocks, you can go up on pretty much anything that can use as cover, and this thing can be pretty good at it. And up in the hills and that, you could spot, and then you could just turn around and just fly out of there. But it does leave you exposed, but as long as you're outfast the enemy, or outspeed the enemy, I would say, you would do pretty good. So we're going to be going against the this is a full tier 6 match right here, or mainly a tier 6 match. This thing will feast on tier 6 Tier 7, this thing can do pretty good at, and same thing with Tier 8, depending on where they hit. So here I go, I'm spawning up at Tier 8, up on this hill, and then there's two other tanks. The rare T-34-88, which is a tank that you would get, I think, from the store. And the other one, I think, is... Alright, there it is. And there's a Fury. A Fury is based on the movie. It's practically an easy 8, just with a different camo on that, I think. But I haven't played the tank yet. There's a Hellcat along with them, and because I'm so far ahead because of the speed, no one's not really paying attention, or no one's really up ahead to do the damage in that for me. So I'm pretty much peekabooing in and out just to spot them in that. And yeah, you can see there's already the Hellcat in position, and then here comes the Fury, which I think is paying it isn't paying full attention, but it did have its turn on me, took another shot at, and yeah. And there it goes, they're at the hills already, and they're already trying to cap, but there's already enough people to occupy them. But these three tanks, I'm paying full attention to the Fury right now. Took a little shot at it, or nice little shot at it, and I've already demolished like all of its health within 3 shots. That's a lot. That's like around 600 damage or 700 damage worth, and that's a tier 6. And then where we go, we're gonna be going after these other 2 tanks, and there's also, well, the Furies. I tried to take like another shot at the Fury, but this thing, even though this thing has horrible accuracy, this thing always leaves its mark, I would say. But other than that, this thing, I'm taking like shots at, or I'm avoiding shots, I would say. And then there's a T-150. There's another tank destroyer coming on here. There's a T-34-88 that gets finished, and same thing with the Fury tank. I would say easy 8. But anyway, I didn't pay full attention to the Hellcat, and I lost a huge chunk of my health. And they're requesting fire. And the other 2 tanks that are just right there, they're going after the Hellcat. And there's the Hellcat right there. Tried to take a shot at it, but it missed. So I tried to pull back, and well, it wasn't worth it right now. I didn't know if there was any other tanks at that time around this area, but they only seemed to be the only 3. So we tried to go down here. I moved down, and since we won this part, I think it's pretty much game over at this point. Well, because every time you win the hill, it outcomes the battle, and if you win it, you'd be pretty easily winning, because you'd have like the surrounding village, and you'd have the other sides of the hills. And then there's the Hellcat. Try to go down here and try to finish it off. It's paying attention right now, and was going to turn its turret to me, but I finished it off in 1 shot. So there's my first kill. I think it's going to be my only kill. But either way, I'm still going to be paying attention here. There's the we're going to be going after this part of the lands now, since this area is secured. And then there's a KV-1S, pretty powerful tier 6 tank. And then I try to go after it. Try to go after its tracks right here. I damaged its tracks, and then I took a huge chunk of its health away. But it's already too late. The damage is already being done, and the T-150 finishes us off. T-150 did pretty good this game. And then there's the other one. There's a T-14, which it's gonna get surprise buck sex time with the other tanks. But I was gonna be firing at it, but it really didn't work out well. The only tank that they have right now is the KV-2. KV-2 is really good if it has the 120 or 52 millimeter gun, which I don't know if it has right now, but tried to get a little early shot at it, but it didn't work out well. So I just stayed here and just shot away because it already has enough problems, and KV-2 gets finished off, and yeah, we did pretty good. I did a lot of damage show with the despite it being a tier 6. I got Mastery Badge Class 2 and 19,000 silver and almost 900 experience. As you can see here, destroyed the Hellcat, damaged the KV-1S, but I did a whole lot of hurt on that Fury. Even though I didn't do as much destruction or tanks destroyed, blah blah blah, it's not really the point. It's pretty much pointing out what you can do with that awesome 90mm gun, doing peekaboo shots and all that. This tank can be really good. It must have to coordinate with your teammates, as you could see there, and that tank was pretty good at it with the distractions from the other two tanks. And I did 1,152 damage. I shot about 8 times, 5 of them penetrated and did actual damage. And yeah, it was pretty good. The ammo you don't have to worry about, and the opposite team really didn't do well. I got some really good gameplay that you could do with scouting. So you've seen what a light tank can do when it comes to damage, or the ELC AMX I mean. It can be pretty devastating depending on the situation. If you have teammates there that are going to be helping you out, this thing can be pretty good at it. And what happens when it comes to the term of scouting? This is what the ELC AMX is really good for too. I think it specializes in it actually because of its profile, but it really doesn't have a good signal range or a view range. So you do have to be a little bit more closer than you would think. And so we're at Malinovka. It's a tier 7 match. I'll keep that in mind. It's a tier 7 match, and you can see there's an IS, a Tiger, and a few others that you would have to worry about. But I'm not using the 90mm gun. This is the only gameplay that I got that I would be using the 75mm gun. That's, like I said, this thing doesn't really have good penetration, but this thing can still crack the tier 6 and probably some tier 7s. And my first customer of the day, since the view range on this thing is not as well, I still have to get close. That was a Jagdpanzer IV, and I tried to spot them up real good for them. And then I see the Jagdpanzer IV right there. It's already being shot at, and I'm already starting to get assist points. This gameplay is not based on damage. This is more based on assist and that. So you're gonna see right here how much I'm gonna be doing. Here's the Churchill 7, tier 6 heavy tank, really formidable fighter, really good armor, really good, decent. It has good guns too. I'll have to admit that. But I really didn't get any assist points, and oh me, oh my. That's a E25, a German light tank destroyer, I would say. The tank destroyer here has really good armor, or not really good armor, but really good speed. But this thing has a really good gun too, with damage per minute and all. So I'm peeking in and out, and I got full spotting assistance from the E25. And then there's a Hellcat right here, and I'm taking assistance from it too. And same thing with this heavy tank right down here. And yeah, I don't think I got full assist on the Hellcat, but on the other heavy tank right here, which I haven't named out yet, I think it was an ARL, but I really didn't know the full name of the tank. Once again, I'm still getting used to the light tank or French tanks. But yeah, I'm peeking in and out, going through like from room to or from house to house, and then trying to peek on who's there, who's not. And I've got 13 hit assist points already, so that's pretty awesome. So I try to move up further into the forest right here, or where a bunch of trees are, and try to see what's going on here. And there's that heavy tank I've mentioned. I think. Oh, it's a VK3001D, I think it's called. But there we go. I took a shot at it, and well, I got assist points from it. I think it got finished off by artillery. I think. I'm not entirely sure. But I go down here, do some more spotting damage for them. Try to do some help that I can. And I'm nearly close to their base right now. There's their, I think that's their, well, it's nearby, I would say. But either or, I'm trying to spot the enemies around here, and well, it's not going out really well at this point right here. But there is some tanks right down the opposite side, and they're getting finished off. But here we go. And then there's, well, I don't know what that was. I think it was a Jackson. But there's a tiger right there, a little kitty cat. It has 100 millimeters of armor, and back then that thing was awesome. And then, well, I took a shot at it. I think I took another shot at it. Yeah, bingo. And this is for the 75 millimeter gun. The Tiger really doesn't have the best armor, but it's really good for like angling and that. So if you angle with this tank, it'd be pretty good. So I decided to go down furthermore onto the base right here, try to spot more enemies. And there's an S35CA, I think it's called, and it's getting slaughtered. And I took one shot at it, and I got my only kill in there. So yeah, that's pretty good. But well, one of my tanks got finished off. There's the Tiger again. I'm trying to do some spotting assistance, but there we go. Spotted one tank and then spotted another. I think I'm doing a damage assist on that. And no, it's the ARL that I finished off, or that was there. And then there's, I think that's a Panther. Yeah, that's a Panther. Or no, not a Panther. I can't really see with the screen being that small. I'm sorry. That's why I'm assuming. I thought it was a Panther, but I'm not entirely sure. So now we pretty much have this in the bag because thanks to my assistance, well, with spotting and that. And right here at the edge of the base, it's a Tiger P or Tiger Porsche. It's not a Tiger Pro type, it's Tiger Porsche. But unsmartingly for me, I decided to go back and forth on this tank, and I didn't realize what made my downfall was the end of the map right here, and the turret turned around. Tiger P finished me off, but that didn't mean I didn't have sweet vengeance. But due to my spotting in that, the Tiger P gets finished off real quickly here, and yeah, let's go to the results summary. Even though I died many times with this thing, I rarely get a successful like this. 50,000 silver and, well, 3,426 experience, Master Gunner, and a second class badge. And with the assistance I did a shit ton. I did assistance on the Jagdpanzer, the Hellcat, which was a lot. Same thing with the E25, which I did damage to. VK301H, I thought it was a D or something like that. It got slaughtered. And then there was the S35CA, which I destroyed. The ARO44, which did a lot of damage on. Did damage on the Tiger, and I did damage on the Tiger Porsche. Well, I absolutely slaughtered it. I mean, even though I did one kill. And with a 75mm gun, and, well, yeah, you pretty much know what I mean. This was more based on scouting and that. I did about 3,343 assist points, which is a lot. 409 damage, and yeah, all my teammates took in for the kills, and the Tiger P did the best out of their team, surprisingly. Same thing with the Tiger. The ELC AMX, a ninja and a scouting extraordinaire. This thing, well, it was a pain in the ass to figure out at first, and then, well, I wasn't at the time really used to the light tanks. And with this truly makes you understand what a light tank is. And this is probably one of the best, or not the best, light tank in World of Tanks, I think, but that's just me. But for this thing, I'm going to give it a rating of, ta-da, a 9.5 out of 10. I would have gotten it a 10 out of 10 if it wasn't for one big reason. This thing has the highest damage penetration in tier 5 with the 90mm. Even the tank destroyers can't even go through that. It helps people out. Well, you have to help people out and distract enemies for them, and which really helps out with the ELC AMX. You have to avoid fast, medium, and light tanks because it can match you within speed in that. My only advice is to do hit and runs like with the Cromwell, scouting and peekaboos only, unless they're distracted. And this thing takes, well, with the biggest negative, this thing takes a lot of experience to understand the ELC AMX. I mean, with the AMX 40, you had slow speed and heavy shields, or heavy armor, I would say. But this thing's the complete opposite of it. This is definitely one of my favorite tanks in World of Tanks, and I'm gonna keep this little bastard. So that's what I think about the ELC AMX. Vote, rate, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And this is GalacticStorm saying au revoir, bitches.